In the vast landscape of Latin American literature, 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel García Márquez stands as a towering achievement. The novel is not just a story about the Buendía family, it is a powerful, mesmerizing meditation on life, love, and death. Its style is characterized by magical realism, a genre where the fantastical and the ordinary blend seamlessly together, making the impossible feel remarkably familiar. At the heart of the novel is Macondo, a town founded in the wilderness of Colombia by the patriarch José Arcadio Buendía. This fictional setting serves as the perfect backdrop for the extraordinary events that unfold. Over a century, we follow the Buendía family's rise and fall, witnessing their joys, their tragedies, their dreams, and their ultimate collapse. Their stories are emblematic of the human condition, as they grapple with love, betrayal, madness, power, and, perhaps most poignantly, solitude. The birth of Macondo and the first Buendía family members. The tale begins with the founding of Macondo by José Arcadio Buendía, a man whose intellectual curiosity and thirst for knowledge know no bounds. He is deeply influenced by alchemy and the search for hidden truths about the universe, seeking to find a formula to turn base metals into gold. His obsessive pursuits, however, take a toll on his sanity, and over time he descends into a state of madness. José Arcadio's descent into obsession becomes a powerful metaphor for the themes of isolation and loss that will define the entire novel. Ursula, his steadfast wife, does her best to hold the family together. The early chapters of the book establish the dynamic between these two characters, marking them as representatives of the larger struggles to balance human desire with the need for practicality and survival. José Arcadio's initial madness and Ursula's grounded resilience set the stage for the cyclical nature of the family's destiny. Their children, too, become important players in the family saga, but it is clear that Macondo's fate is already intertwined with their ambitions, mistakes, and, above all, their inability to escape the weight of history. Love, loss, and the changing times. The next key character in the story is José Arcadio Buendía's son, also named José Arcadio, who falls in love with Rebecca, an orphan girl brought into the Buendía household. The first instances of the magical realism that would characterize the entire narrative appear as Rebecca's past is revealed, and her arrival in Macondo marks the beginning of the family's involvement with forces beyond their control. However, the story of José Arcadio's passion for Rebecca is quickly overshadowed by another key event, the arrival of the gypsy Melquiades, a mystical figure who will become integral to the family's life. He brings with him books, artifacts, and ideas that will inspire José Arcadio's obsessive quest for knowledge. Melquiades symbolizes the unknown, the unexplainable forces that will shape the family's future. Through him, the Buendías come face to face with a world that is larger than their small, insular community. Yet, instead of leading to enlightenment, these ideas only propel the family deeper into confusion and madness. The young José Arcadio, deeply influenced by these new ideas, begins to embark on a journey that will lead him far from home. He seeks out the wider world, and his departure foreshadows the theme of wandering and searching for meaning that runs throughout the novel. Aureliano Buendía and the Weight of Revolution. The novel's most important character, Aureliano Buendía, is introduced as the son of José Arcadio and his cousin, Fernanda del Carpio. Aureliano's life is marked by a series of philosophical and emotional battles. From a young age, he is deeply introspective, finding solace in his own thoughts rather than in the world around him. This sense of isolation, however, is not merely a personal trait. It is part of the larger, inevitable isolation that runs through the Buendía family like an unbreakable chain. Aureliano Buendía's development as a revolutionary figure is one of the novel's key plotlines. As he matures, he becomes involved in the political turmoil of his country, fighting for a cause he believes in. His rise as a revolutionary leader echoes the larger historical context of Latin America's struggle for independence. However, as Aureliano's career unfolds, his idealism is gradually eroded by the brutal realities of war. His disillusionment is amplified as he realizes that the political struggles he has engaged in are ultimately futile. In a sense, Aureliano embodies the cyclical and repetitive nature of the Buendía family history, His attempts to bring change are undermined by forces beyond his control. The political context of the novel mirrors the chaotic political landscape of Latin America, where revolutions often led to cycles of violence and corruption, leading to little tangible change for the people. Aureliano's story, in this sense, is a tragic commentary on the futility of idealism in the face of entrenched systems of power. Magical realism and the women of the Buendia family. Among the many compelling features of 100 Years of Solitude is the portrayal of women in the Buendia family. From the very beginning, the women are portrayed as powerful, multifaceted characters. Ursula, the matriarch, is the backbone of the family. Her pragmatism and strength stand in stark contrast to the men who often succumb to their passions or obsessions. She symbolizes the resilience of the family, holding everything together even as the world around them falls apart. Other women in the family, such as Remedios the Beauty, take on more mystical and symbolic roles. Remedios the Beauty, for example, is so beautiful that she drives men to madness and, eventually, ascends to the heavens in a moment of pure innocence and purity. Her ascent is both literal and symbolic, as she transcends the physical world, leaving behind the chaos of human life. Her departure suggests that purity and beauty cannot survive in a world tainted by greed, violence, and corruption. Fernanda del Carpio, who marries into the family, also plays a significant role in the narrative. She represents a different side of the family's dynamics, one that is driven by religious fervor, order, and control. Fernanda's arrival in Macondo brings an air of rigidity to the family, and her inability to accept the magical realism that surrounds her contributes to her ultimate alienation. Her presence in the Buendia household represents the tension between the practical, the spiritual, and the irrational, and her influence ultimately drives a wedge between the family's traditions and the encroaching modernity. The decline of Macondo and the end of the Buendias. As Macondo grows and changes, so too does the Buendia family. The arrival of a foreign banana company in Macondo is a turning point in the narrative, as it introduces capitalist interests that disrupt the town's formerly self-contained existence. The banana company's exploitation of the local workers and the subsequent massacre of striking workers is a turning point for Macondo, signaling the beginning of its decline. This moment of violence marks a key thematic shift in the novel, the clash between the innocent and the corrupt, between the natural world and the forces of industrialization. The company's arrival in Macondo represents the intrusion of modernity into the bucolic world of the Buendias, bringing with it a host of problems, including political corruption, environmental destruction, and social injustice. The final chapters of the novel depict the unraveling of both Macondo and the Buendia family. With each generation, the family's members spiral deeper into obsession, madness, and ultimately death. The cyclical nature of their lives becomes increasingly apparent as they repeat the same mistakes over and over again, each generation trying and failing to escape the sins of their ancestors. In a poignant, almost apocalyptic conclusion, the last member of the Buendia family, Aureliano, uncovers the hidden manuscript of Melquiades, which reveals that the entire history of the Buendia family has been written out in advance. This final realization brings the novel full circle, as it confirms the inevitability of the Buendia's fate. The destruction of Macondo is not just the physical collapse of a town, but the culmination of 100 years of repetition, violence, and solitude. Final thoughts: the ever-present cycle of solitude and time. In 100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel García Márquez invites readers into a world where the boundaries between the real and the fantastical are constantly blurred. The Buendia family, for all their brilliance and ambition, are ultimately imprisoned by their own histories, trapped in a never-ending cycle of solitude and repetition. The novel is a profound commentary on the nature of time, memory, and human existence. It asks questions about fate, the impact of our actions, and the unrelenting march of history. Through the Buendia family, Márquez explores the theme of solitude, not just as physical isolation, but as an emotional and spiritual condition that affects every generation in the family. Ultimately, 100 Years of Solitude is a masterpiece that transcends time and place. It is a novel about human resilience, the search for meaning, and the inescapable weight of history. Its beauty lies in the way it portrays life as a continuous cycle of creation, destruction, and rebirth, where the extraordinary and the mundane are forever intertwined. The novel's poignant, cyclical nature leaves readers with a haunting sense of inevitability, urging us to reflect on our own lives, our own histories, and the legacies we leave behind.